Welcome, welcome. Want to say hello to you. Thank you for joining us for today's conversation. This is Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution. And today's topic is, what is it going to take for the accounting profession to move forward? And my conversation is going to be with Seth Fineberg. Part of what we're going to go ahead and touch on is, if you're interested in where the accounting profession is heading, we're going to take a deep dive into that. The things that are working and the things that are no longer working, or that you might be doing that actually aren't that effective. And then also the impact that AI is having on the accounting profession, which is top of everybody's mind these days. I suggest you have pen and paper ready, because Seth is generously going to share a lot. And then we'll be able to show you how to be able to follow up with him if you want to be able to have further conversations and know more. A little bit about Seth. He is an accounting industry consultant and content strategist. He's been an editor and journalist for over 30 years, and the majority of that time, it's been devoted to the accounting profession's evolution, which is definitely on a fast path right now. He has served as technology editor at Accounting Today and the head of Accounting Web's US team. Through his current business, which is called Accountants Forward, Seth aims to see the accounting profession progress, and basically through focusing on the creation of quality, practical, and useful content from vendors, industry organizations, and accounting firms themselves. He plays many roles, and so many of them are important to the accounting profession. And his focus is really on content creation, execution. That could include articles, podcasts, webinars, papers, and even live events. You can learn more about Seth Fineberg and Accountants Forward at sethfineberg.com, and we will have the link below in the description as well. Seth, please, I am so excited about our conversation. Looking forward to jumping right in.
Yeah.
And before we even get into this, just want to hear how you became a content strategist, what that really means for accounting firm owners and the profession.
Sure. So once again, thank you for having me, Lauren. So, Lauren and I met each other. I was, editor, as you know, at Accounting Web. And this is relevant to, our answer. Lauren was a contributor of ours. And a lot of how Accounting Web specifically, I've worn a lot of hats in my career. I found myself, really staying in the B2B world, and particularly, one of those B's being the business of accounting. So Accounting Web, we decided we needed to be different. There was a lot of the profession was already pretty well covered by some great names, some great publications that continue to do their coverage of the profession. Accounting Web needed to stand for something more. We needed to stand out. So we realized, and I had realized, one of the things that was missing was practical and useful content for the profession, things that they could consume that really meant something in the direction of their planning, their thinking, something that spoke to the accounting professional. And this is something I realized that, the vendor community, as there were more and more technology companies feeding into the space, really becoming and permeating every aspect of an accountant's life, they needed to establish that line of communications, that trust. They couldn't just flat out start, putting out marketing materials and asking for demos, and that. It's not the way that accountants want to be spoken to, and it's not a way to build any trust. The way you build trust is by, having something of value for them. And in this case, I felt it was content. So I got into content strategy, content creation through really, working at Accounting Web was something, that was really at our core. And as a lot of the end of last summer, Accounting Web in the US unfortunately had to close its doors. So I really had to sort of figure out where I wanted to go, with my career, and, and reading the tea leaves and talking to a lot of you out there, people who know me. The consensus was that, I needed to stay involved in some way, shape, or form. So the best way that I knew that I could, give back and, still kind of, maybe have a business out of it, was by, being on the side of the profession, knowing this very thing that, that we knew at our core at Accounting Web, that content really mattered to them, and that I would continue to sit on, on their side, and also speak to the, the vendors, the vendor community, and even other, organizations that need accountants on their side as well, to help them to have better, better relations, better communications. So, I, just kind of put that consultant hat on and said, hey, let's talk. Let's figure out a way that you both can kind of, have, better relations together. And, and I know that I can continue to, write on things that I hear, conversations that I have, and really condense things down. So I'm continuing to produce as well as, consult on these things. So I've consulted on the creation of webinars and articles, even up to live events themselves. There's been a couple of newer live events that have come into being that, I was sort of behind the scenes on, and would like to continue to be as well, because I think that accountants need each other. They need that trust. They need that connection to the vendor community. And, being at live events is a wonderful way to not only connect with your colleagues, but also the companies that are there to help you and your clients as well. So that's that's my short answer.
That's the short answer, right?
Yes.
The bottom line, Seth, is that I know that you are passionate about the profession and the direction that it is evolving towards. You're an advocate for firm owners to be able to really make a difference for their clients by being able to have access to the best information possible. You have a pulse on the direction that it's going. So with all that being said, if you can single out that biggest challenge that accountants are currently facing, what would you say that it is right now?
It's something that's been a specter in their professional lives for a long time. And for a while, it was seen as a rite of passage, and maybe some still do. The whole idea of the partner path, the whole idea of, what you had to do to, put in, the time to, be relevant, to make money, to serve clients. And you kind of got on this hamster wheel and never really got off. And so I think the one thing, Lauren, is time. Time gets in the way of every accountant, meaning they don't really properly know how to use it, and it becomes an enemy. It becomes this thing that you fight against year in and year out, because you don't really take that control. You don't really say no to work. You don't really say no to when you're just feeling like you've had enough. You don't really say no to staff that aren't supporting you, and clients that continue to take up the most of this time of yours. It's very limited. You have, whatever, 168 hours, a certain amount of hours and work hours in a week. And you all haven't really, obviously not everyone, but the vast majority continue to see it as a struggle to find the time to fill in the blank. And I think that has to stop, because it is now translating to, as we all know, we continue to see the numbers, that the amount of accounting professionals has declined significantly. People who are staying in this career is going down. People wanting to come into this career are going down. And I think that, there are a lot of factors, time, and the whole, lack of a true, and I'm going to call it what it is and what it should be, is a life work balance. It's been out of balance for so long. And it's just been seen as this rite of passage, this very almost Machiavellian, type of, torture that you put yourselves through year in and year out. And I'm talking to you mainly at the majority of the profession, which is the small firm owners, and the small firm staff and the people who work, because that's the majority of who the profession is. The mid to larger firms and the whole partner path that you continue to demand, you should be ashamed of yourselves, because and now it's coming home to roost. Now it's kind of karma. Now it's just kind of saying, you're not really finding the talent anymore. All you need to do is kind of look at how you work and how you've chosen to work over all of these years. And now again, I think there's other factors as well, which we can get into, but that to me is, really way at the top. And you can put a big red circle around it.
So part of what I'm really hearing is that you're saying the way that firms are currently set up or had been traditionally set up is a broken model.
And in addition to just how people choose to work in general, even at the smaller, again, the majority of the firms are pretty small. They don't have sort of that structure, but it's, how, you're choosing to work, and, it needs to change, and it needs to change.
And I think that we're both on the same page, because one of the things that I see, especially with the smaller firm owners, is that they are so client-centered. But as a result of that, they say
yes,
isn't
a bad thing, but
as opposed to being maybe more selective or discriminating, whether it's a service request or who they ought to take on as a client, or trying to just get help. So they're saying yes to a lot of things that maybe they'd be better off saying no to. And as a result of it, it causes them to sacrifice their quality of life. Whereas I think as a business owner, we take so many risks to be able to have a business. And as a result of it, it ought to raise your quality of life, not subtract from it. And
correct.
So many firm owners end up burned out because the fact that they just don't know.
And we're seeing the results of that, Lauren. I feel that, if you were to list the top 3 reasons why someone's not coming into the profession or leaving it, this would be right at the top.
Okay, so now that we know that time and saying yes when you ought to say no is part of the problem, anything that you feel would help to maybe resolve this or start to fix this for firm owners and just in the profession in general?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm seeing it, definitely there's plenty of individuals who have finally, just said, I love my clients. I care about them. I care about you. Look, you get into this profession, you get into accounting, sure, to make money, and it's, there's a lot of growth potential, a lot of upside, it's recession proof and all these things, whatever. It's a great and wonderful career. But at the end of the day, what are you doing? What you're doing is helping. You got into this to help, to be of service. It is a service-based profession. So those who still care about that and haven't lost that ideal, realize that if they're going to stay, those changes have to be in place. So I'm not saying it's everybody, but this is what the majority of firms have to, and firm owners have to start doing for themselves, for their staff, to really value time differently. That's their staff time. That is time spent on a particular client, and in just, just how you work. It just needs to be just a more agreeable, place to be. And with technology and pricing methods and, all kinds of things that are really can set you up for success, for future success. There's no reason you can't put a plan in place and start today before you get to next tax season. Make the plans now to say, okay, this is how things are going to be going forward. And I think you'll find that you will be more profitable, more productive, and people are just going to be happier. Why is that a bad thing?
That's not a bad thing, Seth, but so many firm owners are risk adverse. They don't want to do something that's going to rock the boat or the status quo, because
the boat is rocked already, Lauren. You know this. It's rocked already. You're losing staff. You don't have people to do the work. It's not going to get better until you say enough.
Okay, so this is really where I'm passionate about is that firm owners need to really take charge of their business instead of having their business take charge of them. And
Yes.
and really being able to, no matter whether you're a servant leader or you're more the quiet type, whatever, but really just be able to design that firm so that it works for everybody, including you and your staff. You don't have to tolerate the things that you've been tolerating for as long as you have. Change
No,
is possible. And the difference is that you get your life back. You feel that enthusiasm again. You're excited about what you're doing instead of dealing with the burnout and low motivation.
exactly. And then all of a sudden, you become a better place to work. Your staff want to stay with you. They want to stay with the clients that they have. They want to, you can continue to grow. And, once, the outside world, meaning the students who want to come into this profession, or people who have other skills that might
Mm-hmm.
want to go into accounting. And this is another thing too, Lauren, that's happening too, looking outside of accounting for people who might want to come into this profession that don't have necessarily an accounting degree or haven't practiced as an accountant. You could still use them. I mean, look at these people who have some managerial experience, some tech experience, um, you know, on down the line, financial planning, make it a career and a profession, that is worth coming into, and making it feel like this is something that you want to do. I mean, you could say that, down the line, but we're talking about the profession that we know and love, which is accounting. And, at the end of the day, what is an accountant really doing? Again, you are stewarding someone's financial future, whether it's, individual or families, or, the businesses that you help in and day out. You're helping realize their dreams too. You're going to be doing them a better service by, through this, level of positivity, through this, really kind of wanting to be there for them. And, I get there's outside factors that just will frustrate the heck out of you. I think that, having to deal with a governing body or regulatory body, I should say, like the IRS, which has been underfunded and understaffed for as long as we can think. We get that, but maybe that isn't necessarily your future. Maybe your future is in in other things, still within accounting.
Mm-hmm. So we've been talking about a wide range of things that
Yes.
are going on. The evolution is faster now than it's been since, for quite a while.
Never going to be any slower than it is now.
So a lot of changes are happening, primarily because of the change or the onset of technology also over the last couple of decades. So what are some of the maybe positives that you've seen the profession going through?
On the positive side, again, I see them getting deeper into, those who have made these changes. I see them really getting deeper into, seeing the success of a business forward, seeing the success of someone's financial life forward, meaning they're getting into things like, family home office, wealth management, estate planning, things that someone is going to need in their life. I see them getting more consultative with their clients. Even if you're very heavily focused on tax, maybe you're helping them, doing more tax planning. And, you're having these deeper conversations that, again, your clients are willing to pay you for that, that service of being a partner to them, when, seeing them a part of the success of, helping someone's dreams come true. It also, just from a financial perspective, it helps our economy, and you're a direct result of that. And you have to realize the role that you play. I also, like seeing, the firms that are embracing technology more. They're experimenting more. They're really seeing what it can do for them. They're a lot more open to hiring, and really being a more inclusive place to work, I think that, they have that opportunity to kind of break that old mold of it being this sort of, kind of monotone,
Mhm.
place to work. So that, that's what I'm excited, to see, more of. And, and I've seen, a couple of points of inflection, and that's really, make no mistake about it, Lauren, we are at a point of inflection, now in the profession. And I've been through in my time a couple. I started back when the ink was still drying on the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which I think really inherently affected, how accountants work. I saw, how technology really kind of took more of a foothold with the introduction of cloud and cloud computing, and how everyone was
Mhm.
working on laptops and computers that access, things that were more browser based. And they said, oh wow, I don't have to pay for licenses for things. I don't have to worry about installing things on my computer. I don't have to maintain servers as much anymore. I don't have to really worry about this data as much, as I once did, because everything was here. I don't have to maintain files. I did a whole report on how people were this whole idea of the paperless office, but the reality is it was just paper reduction. But firms were paying these exorbitant monthly fees to storage facilities. This is outside of the office that they're already paying for. So their file rooms were already so full, they had to pay to keep paper files off-site somewhere at a storage facility.
And
That
we were actually
has,
one of those agencies.
yeah. So this wasn't all that long ago. So in
Right.
my time, I've seen that kind of get
Mhm.
reduced
Mhm.
significantly, different ways of working, and then of course the pandemic really, I think, put the whole notion that firms could not work remotely, they could not function remotely, to rest.
Mhm.
You can. And it's sad that it took something that drastic to show you that you could do it when you had to.
Right.
But
And
it
that's when
should
people
show
are
you
most
that
open
you
to
that you
change.
can.
Right, right. That's when people are most open to change, is when they're really pushed against, right up against the wall, and they
You
have no
really don't
option
have a
but to
choice.
change. But
Yeah.
you also made some really great points about some of the positive changes, and I just wanted to kind of
Yeah.
touch on them again. Is that more and more firm owners are realizing that there's a benefit to maybe having a focus, whether it's a niche or a specialty of what they do. So there's more verticals that they can really go into. They're starting to become more future focused by adding in the CAS or advisory services, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
just doing the compliance side of things.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of it, it increases the value of a client. The other part, which is, I think, huge and behind so much of this change, is the fact that there is so many options with technology and the advances that have happened over the past couple of decades, actually, and it's continuing to rapidly progress as well. And the final one is that there are workplace options and flexibility. It's no longer having to go to the corporate, wearing the suit, the 9 to 5, and the long commute and everything like that. There is so many options that were not available before. And as you mentioned, COVID was part of it. I've seen firms myself that had a rule, everybody had to be in the office, and now people have the option to work from home if they want to.
Yeah.
So that has been really great as far as how the
As long as the work is getting done and you have,
exactly.
methods of tracking it, and they're available to everyone, and you're all on a shared system.
There's a lot of really good, dedicated, loyal people out there in the profession, and they don't need to be policed and monitored every single minute in
Exactly.
order to be able to do what is expected of them. And I think that that's really great to see as well, that people have options. So
Yes.
the other part of it, okay, so we've been talking a little bit about things and where it's going, the evolution. So what do you think is going to really have that significant impact over the next couple of years? Any particular trends that you've been noticing?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's already happening, Lauren. The fact that, more, by the day, more workers are just saying no. They're saying, no, I'm demanding a certain lifestyle. I'm demanding
Mhm.
to live a certain way. It's not that I care less about being a good employee or doing, the work, the good work and being of service. But you know, again, back to that balance, the firms that are finding it and finding ways to do it, the firms that are finding new ways to, to grow and to, to make money that aren't the old structure are finding, a lot more enjoyment, a lot more positivity out of things. And of course, technology. I've always been a proponent. I've followed, technology in business well before I discovered the world of accounting, and seeing how, it can positively impact, how someone works and in their daily lives. So I'm excited to see where that goes. AI, I think, is something, it's really just at its core, it's still a child. It needs your help. It needs guidance.
Mhm.
You can definitely, there's a lot of unknown and that scares a lot of people, but it is something to be embraced, to be experimented with, and to work alongside you, because it is the next phase of automation for
Mhm.
things that you do. All that it's taking away are tasks. You are not a task. And I think at one time, accounting probably was seen very largely as the things that you do. It's not.
Right.
The tasks, I should say,
Mm.
that you do. So the whole idea, I'm very excited to see how accounting and being an accountant evolves. And I'm seeing it in dribs and drabs
And
here.
I know that what excites you is creating probably fear for some firm owners because they don't understand it or realize
Sure,
how
I
to
get
support
that.
them in the way that you can. So AI is absolutely a hot topic. I talk about it as well and how to be able to utilize it. I would love, before we wrap up, to just hear your thoughts about AI, where it's going, and the impact on the accounting profession.
Well, we have two forms of AI, and I think they've been, AI has kind of been around sort of in the background for actually several years, in the form of, bots. There's these bots, this machine learning, these things, that are, embedded in some technology and, help out the computing side of things. We're well beyond that now. We're actually at the point of where things can be, predictive and generative and, really doing the work. So at the risk of overcomplicating it, as I said, I think that we should just see it as just the next evolution of automation, of tasks, of things that, maybe take time out of your day. And I know that that still scares, even back with cloud, a lot of people were a little, concerned over the fact that, wow, now that it's not taking me as much time to do certain things, how do I charge? How do I bill? What do I do even with that time? And I think that it is, ultimately pushing the profession towards a logical conclusion or a logical evolution, which is that, you are still a knowledgeable advisor. You are still someone who understands and can interpret the numbers, the things that AI is generating for you, in terms of reports, in terms of, the use of data. You still have to make sure that the data that's in there is correct, and that, you have more of an opportunity to have those discussions, those meaningful discussions with your clients. So I'm very excited to see where things go. But, you have to realize that you need to work alongside of these tools
Mm-hmm.
rather than, feeling like it is going to overtake something that you do or that you are.
Mm-hmm. And part of what I think you said, just to kind of summarize, is that first of all, things that used to be done manually can now be done in an automated way. And anytime that anybody talks about spreadsheets, especially handwritten ones, I'm like shocked that they're still even around.
Yeah, those that Excel, man. That's another thing I don't know that's going away anytime soon. But client communications, all
Hmm.
that can be automated through AI. Your engagement letters, and it's I'm just talking even outside of just the computing use of
Hmm.
data types of things. Things that just kind of can be somewhat time consuming for you can actually potentially be reduced.
And as you're getting faster, that means that you need to change how you charge for your services. It's no longer ought to
Sure.
be time-based, because actually, in my opinion, time-based fees were created before technology existed, so it doesn't know how to
It's all we
adapt.
had. It's all you
So,
had was your time. You literally, you punched in to work, and
exactly.
the
Hmm.
managing partners were like, okay, what were your billable hours this week? You know what? And there's so much that you do in your life, it's particularly the mid to larger firms that you do that aren't billable. There's all these non-billable hours that are out there. Like, okay, well, what do you do? With that, you got to make the most of that.
Yes, and really the bottom line is that the profession is moving in a way more towards advisory services. So take advantage of the data, the tools, the insights that are out there, and show your clients how to apply it so that they can benefit. And
Hmm.
it enhances things for them as well. And that's really where I see the sweet spot is moving away from just the compliance side over to the consultative side.
Exactly, exactly. And it's been coming for some time, Lauren,
Mhm.
because technology has allowed um time to, that was spent on certain things to be taken away or reduced drastically. Um and it does take a while.
Mhm.
Things aren't, magic. They don't work overnight. You have to really, start experimenting, start working, and start understanding what it can do for you in the same way that learned how to move from, desktop software to that you had to be, exchanging files or going and visiting your
We have
client or
all
having
evolved.
client appointments come in so they could work
Mhm.
on it with you to working more collaboratively. Now you have to, now you get to, move even beyond,
Mhm.
that and, be, and again, let's make no mistake. Being an advisor, doing more advisory type things, all that means is that you're talking to your clients more.
Mhm.
That at its core is
Absolutely.
what it means. You're
So
talking to them more
with that
about
said,
things.
I want to just start to kind of transition and wrap things up. We could
Yes.
talk for probably
Abs-
hours more about this because
Absolutely, Lauren.
share that passion of where the firm's going. And just every time that we talk, I learn from you. I enjoy our conversations. Your passion really comes
Thank you.
through so
Thank
loud
you.
and clear. Some of the things that we covered today is really where the profession is heading, some of the things that aren't working any longer, and what is, impact on AI. So if somebody wanted to find out more about you, Seth, and Accountants Forward, what's the best way for them to be able to do that?
It's pretty simple. I set up my domain to be just me. I realized that I got into this because it is the business of me. And so you can find me at sethfineberg.com. It's Fineberg, as you see on the screen here. You could also, if you felt like typing in accountantsforward.com, you'll find me there too. My website really is just kind of an extended business card. It explains my passions, my beliefs, as well as the services that I provide. And you can easily book a conversation with me. You can also sign up for my free weekly newsletter, which right now, thanks to a wonderful partnership that I have with CPA Trendlines, is going out to close to 400,000 accountants every week.
Perfect. Seth, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody that's been joining us. This is Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution, showing accounting professionals how to double their income working half the time.